Hey everyone! Before we dive in, if you're loving these stories of quiet revenge and epic comebacks, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an upload. Let's get into it. Could somebody pass Emma the children's menu? She hasn't quite graduated to the adult world yet. My sister Harper announced it loud enough for the entire table to hear, cracking up as she grabbed the bread basket. Mom almost spat out her Merlot and immediately started giggling too. I just froze, fork hovering halfway to my mouth. Heat rushed to my face, but I forced the tiny, polite smile I'd perfected over the years. That's hilarious, I said, even though it wasn't. We were at my parents' favorite upscale steakhouse, the one with the low lighting, crisp white tablecloths, and waiters who greeted my dad by his first name. He owns Bennett Global Logistics and treats the place like his personal boardroom, another spot where he gets to be the big shot. Across from me, Mom dabbed the corner of her mouth with her napkin and smirked. Harper, don't pick on your sister. She did that little startup thing, remember? She flicked her wrist like she was shooing a mosquito. What was it called again, honey? Emma Bloom's Studio? Sounds like a boutique candle company. It was a branding agency, I said quietly. And it lasted a lot longer than 30 days. Barely, Harper muttered, spearing a cherry tomato. We're just relieved she quit pretending she was some hotshot CEO. That was painful to watch. My chest squeezed tight. I stared at my water glass so they wouldn't catch my jaw locking. I remembered every minute of that year. Midnight on a beat-up laptop. 30-day free trials of tools I couldn't actually afford. Pitch calls where my palms sweated so bad I had to wedge the phone between my ear and shoulder. Clients who vanished, clients who stayed. It didn't explode the way I dreamed, but it cracked doors open. Better gigs, real income, smarter bets. To them, it was just a punchline. Dad cleared his throat. All right, that's enough, he said, though you could hear the smirk in his tone. Let the girl eat, for heaven's sake. I almost thanked him until he kept going. Not everybody's cut out for the hustle. Some people simply aren't built to run companies. That's okay. The world needs workers too. Those words landed heavier than Harper's jokes. They slid right under my skin, old and familiar. I'd heard some version my whole life. You're not tough enough. You're not cutthroat. You're too soft. Too dreamy. Too. Emma. I cut into my steak, so I wouldn't say something I'd regret. They had no clue about the conference calls I took from my car in grocery store parking lots. They never saw me quietly stack a roster of industrial clients who were starving for exactly what I could deliver. Fresh marketing for old school businesses. They never opened the spreadsheets on my laptop, the ones where the numbers finally started looking legit. And they definitely didn't know what I'd signed 3 weeks ago. So what are you up to these days? Harper asked, mouth half full. Still freelancing? Is that the official term now? Mom let out one of her dramatic sighs. We just want to know you're stable, sweetheart. No more phases. Your father and I have lived the entrepreneur life. He built everything from zero. It's brutal. You don't just wake up one morning and decide you're the boss. I swallowed. It's not a phase. I've been consulting mostly manufacturing and logistics companies, helping them fix their online presence. Harper snorted. Translation. Posting pretty pictures on Instagram. I looked straight at her. Translation. I added 7 figures to a mid-sized distributor's top line last year just by rebuilding their digital funnel. That shut her up for half a second. She blinked, shocked I'd actually clapped back. Then she shrugged, unimpressed. Okay, whatever. Dad narrowed his eyes, trying to figure out if I was exaggerating. Which distributor? I took a slow sip of water. Riverline Transport, for one. He grunted. He definitely knew the name. They've been killing it lately. New contracts all over the place. That was you. I helped, I said with a tiny shrug. He studied me another beat, then waved it away. Well, good for you. Just don't get cocky. One hot streak doesn't make you a titan. Consistency is what counts. My fingers tightened around the napkin in my lap. One hot streak. He had no idea how many sleepless nights went into that streak, how many contracts I negotiated solo, how much risk I carried on my own name. No co-signers, no safety net, especially not from him. I reminded myself tonight wasn't for fighting. It was for watching them one last time before everything flipped. The waiter dropped off more bread, the tension eased for a minute. Talk turned to Harper's upcoming promotion at Dad's company, how she was moving into management, the corner office she'd get, the new company car. I nodded along, breathing slow and steady while they planned her future like the company was bulletproof. They had no idea how fragile it had become. Supply chain chaos, new competitors, ancient software. They had no idea one of Dad's oldest silent partners was itching to cash out and had come to me for help. They didn't know I'd formed a new LLC and, through a rock-solid deal, quietly secured a controlling interest under a different name. On the latest state filings, I wasn't just Emma Bennett, the artsy daughter. I was the majority owner. Harper brushed a crumb off her sleeve and gave me that pitying smile. At least you're not hitting us up for cash anymore. That's growth. Mom laughed softly. She's right. We're proud of you for keeping your dreams realistic. Realistic. I breathed in slow, then out. Yeah, I said quietly. My expectations have definitely shifted. Dad glanced at his phone, frowning. Speaking of expectations, I got the weirdest email from the accountant today. Something about updated tax docs. Haven't opened it yet, but your name was in the subject line, Emma. Odd. My pulse kicked. Here it comes. I met his eyes and let a real smile touch my lips for the first time all night. You'll understand soon. His brows knitted together. Soon. Harper jumped in before I could answer. It's probably a typo. She clicked the wrong box on some charity form or something. Mom nodded fast. Exactly. Accountants screw up all the time. But Dad kept staring at me, curious and a little annoyed that I wasn't tripping over myself to explain. I wasn't going to. I sliced another bite of steak. It's nothing bad, I said evenly. Just something you'll want to read. Harper laughed. Oh, please. What could you possibly be tangled up in that would land in Dad's tax files? I laced my fingers calmly on the table. How about we change the subject for now? That irritated her even more. Are you serious? You're being all mysterious on purpose. Just spit it out so Dad doesn't waste his night worrying about whatever mess you've made. Mom chimed in, sweetie, be honest. We're family. If you're in trouble, we need to know. I almost laughed. In trouble? I'd never been more secure. Trust me, I said gently. I'm not the one in trouble. Harper rolled her eyes. You're so dramatic. I looked her dead in the eye, voice steady. You'd be surprised how much I've outgrown that. For once, she had nothing snappy to say. My tone wasn't shaky or defensive, it was new. Solid. She didn't know what to do with it. Dessert menus arrived and broke the standoff. Mom snatched hers like everything was normal. Dad, though, kept watching me, fingers drumming the tablecloth. If this has anything to do with my money or my company, this isn't the place to play games. My company. That phrase always stung. I wondered how long until he'd have to correct himself. I'm not playing games, I said softly. I'm just being patient. He didn't love that, but he let it drop. Probably didn't want a scene where half the staff kissed his ring. Harper launched into a loud recap of her promotion perks, describing her future office like it was already hers. Floor-to-ceiling windows, sleek furniture, the works. I smiled and nodded while something quiet twisted in my gut. She had no clue the division she was bragging about was bleeding cash. She didn't know the fancy upgrades had already been vetoed in last month's board notes submitted by me. You'll have to come see it soon, she said smugly. I sipped my water. Oh, I definitely will. Dad rubbed his temple, suddenly looking exhausted. Between promotions and mystery paperwork, I need a vacation. Then he pointed at me with a half grin. Especially if you're somehow tangled up in my taxes. Everyone chuckled. I didn't. Because in a few hours, maybe minutes, he was going to open that attachment and see my LLC listed as majority shareholder. Every eye roll, every dismissal, every bless her heart comment from tonight was about to age like milk. I leaned back, calm washing over me. Dad, I said quietly, just promise you'll read that email tonight. I'll read it, he said firm. Whatever it is. Good, I whispered to myself. Because tomorrow morning I wouldn't be the daughter they felt sorry for. I'd be the woman they never saw coming. Dad paid the check early, clearly itching to get home and click that file. The vibe at the table had changed, subtle, but undeniable. It wasn't the usual poor fragile Emma energy anymore. It was Emma knows something and we hate not knowing energy. In the parking lot, Harper looped her arm through Mom's and stage whispered, $10, it's a typo. She probably fat-fingered a form. Mom laughed. That's our Emma. I didn't flinch. Omi would have felt that jab in the ribs. Tonight I just kept walking, heels steady on the asphalt. Dad paused at his car. If something's going on with the business or my finances, I expect straight answers. For a second I saw the man who'd built everything from nothing. Proud, stubborn, certain he'd always be the first to know. I held his gaze. You're about to get every answer you need. I'm not hiding anything. I'm just waiting for the right moment. Harper groaned. You're impossible. No, I said quietly. I'm just done explaining myself. When I got home, I kicked off my shoes, collapsed onto the couch, and waited. No TV, no scrolling, just breathing. 43 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Dad, call me now. I exhaled, slow and steady, then answered. His voice came in tight. Emma, why is your name on the shareholder registry? There it was. Because I bought Tom's steak, I said, leaning back into the cushions. You what? I purchased the retiring partner's shares. Legally. Cleanly. Months of work. You never told me. You never asked who the buyer was, I said gently. You just said you were glad some sharp young investors still believed in the company. Silence, long and sharp. Do you have any idea what you've done? Yes, I answered, voice level. I invested in a company that desperately needs fresh strategy. A company I happen to understand better than anyone. A company that can dominate again, if we actually modernize. He exhaled like the wind had been knocked out of him. You blindsided me. No, Dad. I surprised you. There's a difference. Another pause. I could hear him pacing. Why didn't you tell me? I could have unloaded every time he dismissed me. Every time he'd said I wasn't cut out for it. Instead, I gave him the truth he could handle. Because I needed you to see what I could do without you shutting it down first. His breathing changed, anger fading into something closer to awe. You bought your own family's company, he murmured. Our company, I corrected softly. You still own a piece. You still run daily ops. But I'm a real owner now, not the kid at the table, not a phase, not a joke. Long silence. Then, almost reluctantly, you actually pulled this off. Yes, no shortcuts, no handouts, no asking you for a single dime. I heard his breath hitch, not mad, but stunned in a way that might have been pride if he let it. Come to the office tomorrow, he said, voice softer. We need to talk. My chest went warm. I'll be there. I hung up smiling, wide, real, unstoppable. The next morning I walked into Bennett Global Logistics earlier than I ever had. Not as the boss's artsy daughter popping in. As an owner. Same lobby smell. Same flickering fluorescence. Same polite nod from the receptionist. Everything looked identical, but the air felt completely different. I wasn't here to prove anything anymore. I was here to take my place. Dad was already standing when I stepped into his office, arms crossed, face unreadable. Harper sat in one of the guest chairs, legs crossed, looking like she'd bitten into something sour. Morning, Dad said, gesturing to the chair beside her. Sit. I did, calm, hand steady. Harper turned to me. So this is actually real. You bought in. The accountant confirmed everything, Dad said. Harper snapped. What were you thinking? You don't belong in this world. You could barely keep your little studio afloat. Dad started to cut her off, but I beat him to it. I didn't just buy in, I said, meeting her eyes. I bought controlling interest. She blinked. Once. Twice. You what? I'm the majority shareholder now. Her jaw dropped. Dad didn't correct me. He couldn't. He'd seen the paperwork. I turned to him. You said you needed someone with vision to drag us into the 21st century. Someone who actually understands digital infrastructure. That's literally what I've been doing for the last year. He gave a reluctant nod. I did say that. Harper leaned forward. Dad, she can't run anything major. She has zero experience. I'm not here to take your job, Harper, I said gently. She actually flinched when I used the nickname. You're great at internal ops. Efficiency is your superpower, and we need that. But we're hemorrhaging ground on the digital side, and that's costing us clients. That's where I come in. Dad's jaw flexed. He knew I was right. We've been getting crushed on outreach, he admitted. Exactly, I said. The only reason our competitors are eating our lunch is because they modernized and we didn't. My goal isn't to push anyone out. My goal is to make this company grow again. Harper sank back, stunned. Dad looked at me like he was seeing me for the first time. So what happens now? I propose a restructure, I said. You stay CEO. Harper keeps her division. I take digital strategy and external growth. We run it as partners, not a kingdom decided by whose last name is on the sign. The room went quiet. Then Dad exhaled slowly. You really thought this through? Every detail, I said softly. Because I believe in this company. I always have. Even when no one believed in me. That hit him hard. He looked down, swallowed, then met my eyes again. I'm proud of you, Emma. The words came out rough, like he wasn't used to saying them. That was bold. Brilliant. Most people wouldn't have the guts. Warmth flooded through me. I didn't need a parade. I just needed those words. Harper rolled her eyes, but even she looked shaken. Dad cleared his throat. We start Monday as partners. I stood and extended my hand. Partners? He shook it, firm, respectful, equal. Harper stared like the plot had twisted without her permission. As I walked out, sunlight poured through the hallway windows, bright and warm. For the first time, I wasn't trailing anyone's shadow. I wasn't the underestimated daughter. I wasn't the family punchline. I wasn't the girl who tried to run things. I was Emma Bennett, majority owner, strategist, leader. And this time, my family finally saw it too.